We're here live at Shift in Split in Croatia. It's gorgeous weather and we're outside, so it's going to be interesting what the sound will be like. You just gave a talk about HoloLens and what you're doing in Autodesk with it. Can you give us a quick information what that was about?
Yeah, so for what I do at work is really about experimenting technology and see how technology could be used by Autodesk customers in different industries. So Autodesk has software in construction, civil engineering, architecture, mechanical, and we try to know where people are going to use the technology. So when the HoloLens came out, the first question our customer had is, how can we make use of it at work? And the main issue I identified for our customers is actually how they can consume the 3D asset they build with any software and consume them into something useful for them using this device. And Autodesk, we have this web platform technology, which is the Forge API, which is able to read any file format and output that to a JSON database. And then you can consume all this information in one way and consume that directly in any device, any software. And specifically for this talk, it was on the HoloLens.
So how does that work? Is it a subscription model? Is it a thing you have to host yourself? Is it using Autodesk servers in the cloud? How do you work with that?
So there's two parts of the full workflow. So the first workflow using the Forge technology, it's a subscription. So you use that platform to do the extraction to JSON, but everything else behind is something I wrote myself, which is open source, and you can just use it, and that will bring the model, the Forge JSON database onto the HoloLens automatically for you.
So you define a lot of models that get converted into holograms for you.
Yes, and we keep all the information. So it's not only creating the hologram, you keep the intelligence of the original 3D package. So we extract geometry, we extract material, we extract the metadata from the original 3D package, as well as how that was built. So all the hierarchical information about, for example, a door is on the wall is on the floor is in a building, and then on the site. So you have all this construction information, so you can make use of that as well.
So you got the hierarchy of the objects rather than the objects themselves, and you don't have to place them. Once you placed one, the other one will be found according what the environment of the HoloLens is fitting.
Exactly. So you can, for example, filter object out. So let's say while you walk in a building, and in the real building, and you have this 3D asset at your disposal, you're in a room, you know in which room you are. So you can say, just show me what is in this room, and the rest of the building disappears, and you just keep what is interesting for you. Or you can say, show me everything which is plumbery or pipes, and then you just see that part, because you can query object based on their properties.
Nice. That also means, of course, you don't have to load the whole model up front, but you can load them on demand, which means the initial wait period is much less than with other HoloLens applications.
Yeah. So now I'm working with one of my colleagues on two optimization phase for this example. Which the first one is mesh optimization. For example, one big constraint in mechanical is if you have a bolt, the number of triangles on that bolt will be very huge, but that's a small detail in the mechanical environment. So it consumes a lot of resource for nothing. So how can you optimize object in the scene depending on their role or their importance? And the other one is caching the information you're getting from the JSON database. So while you're in a room, would you preload other stuff in memory? So just in case you walk on the side door, you have that room ready for being consuming. So we're evaluating how we can do that, because, for example, I'm working for a big construction company in France. They have a huge model. It's like a 5 gigabyte Revit model. And if you load that on the HoloLens, it just kills the HoloLens. There's not enough memory. So filtering object in out is a way to work with big models.
That's always the main thing when I talk to people about HoloLens. And they're like, well, I mean, we got these massive models, it will never be that, it will be too slow. But streaming it on demand, where you're going, and only giving you the next section, much like we did in gaming, where we never loaded the whole mesh, but we only loaded the screen that we needed to.
Yeah.
Seems to be the way to go that way. So how do you find people to start embracing that? And you said clients come to you. How do developers come to somebody like Autodesk? Because it always seemed to be, it was this black hole company that nobody knew anything about. And how do you create open source inside somebody like Autodesk?
So Autodesk has, like Microsoft, a developer program. And until maybe 4 years ago, everything was private. Okay? You needed to be an Autodesk developer to have access to our software and confidential information about what we are doing. But with a shift to the cloud, it's a completely different world. So now everything we say or do is public. Period. No question asked. You want to be part of this community, you join it or not, and you can just have access to all the information directly.
What do you miss in the HoloLens? What is it's a developer preview, so a lot of people always are wondering about, oh my god, it's not perfect, what's going on? What are the main things where you using it and building stuff for it, you run into limitations that could be different?
I tested a couple of different glasses device. When the HoloLens came out, I think it had most of what I would expect. The only maybe limitation, and I'm sure that's because of the first release, is the field of view is a bit narrow. It's not really important, but whenever I talk to customers, that's the first thing they say. It's too small. So if the aerographic mirror could be twice larger, that would be awesome, and that's it. I think speech recognition, gestures, the mesh analyzer, and be able to recognize spaces, I mean, that's great. You can control that by API, so when you start the HoloLens, it does a mesh recognition of your environment, like low quality, but if you want, you can push HoloLens to give you a real defined mesh of your environment, so you can do a lot better. So can you combine that with other technologies, like can you read a point cloud and do things? I tried to do that. The HoloLens was, the CPU power of the HoloLens was a bit limited, so usually I'm connecting to a server where I delegate all the heavy work and then it just return me the result.
It is interesting because a lot of people are like, well, yeah, the field of vision on my Oculus is much larger, and I'm like, yeah, but you need a $6,000 machine to go with it to make it work.
Yeah.
The whole concept that the HoloLens is to me like a mobile phone, only on my head. Everything is contained in itself, so people expect far too much from it, but at the same time I just love that I'm independent of some other machine.
For me, the field of view for what I'm doing is good. I don't have much complaint, but that's the first comment I always receive from customers.
I guess the gaze as an interaction is not quite common to people yet. Like you say, like, well, yes, the field of vision is low, but you also just move your head to shift your field.
Exactly. So that's funny because we have a table where we do demos right now here at Split. And one person say, oh, I just see a piece of the robot. I just say, lift your head. And they say, oh yeah, I see now. It's just not yet natural for people to just shift the head.
It feels too magical, doesn't it? It feels like this is how we expect Star Trek to happen. Yeah. And we've been always let down by computers having to press arrows or move the mouse around to do other things. And it's just move your head naturally seems to be the most unnatural thing for people once they have a computer on their head.
I agree. And once you know you can do that, that's great. And another thing which is funny is whenever you have a demo with someone, they stand in one place and they don't move. And then they say, oh, how do I move it? And say, just move yourself. And say, what do you mean? Just walk.
Yeah.
And then, oh, I can. Yes, just do it.
It's the inverse of VR to a degree. In VR, you basically have to move around, and you cannot move because you bump into things if you do. And in mixed reality, you have to move to explore.
Exactly.
And it's what we naturally do, but as soon as you have a computer on your head, it doesn't feel natural anymore.
Yeah, like when I was on stage, the guy I invited to do the demo, I just say, visit the house now.
Yeah.
And it was great. I saw him working while I was still talking on that. That's really the advantage of any mixed reality device.
Do you think I mean, I've seen a lot of like estate agents in England that use, for example, a Vive or a Oculus Rift to show you 3D models of the buildings that they're gonna build in the future. Do you think something like a HoloLens will be that kind of future soon? But I guess the price point is the problem.
No, the price is fine. Most of the people I talk to, if you compare the HTC Vive to the HoloLens, the price difference is not that huge, because for the HTC Vive you need to buy a computer on a good graphic card. And if you combine the HTC Vive plus the computer plus the graphic card, the price difference is not that huge. But for me, VR on mixed reality is two different worlds. So do you want to have, let's say, high controlled, high quality or rendering feedback to your customer? And in that case, you may decide to go to the HTC Vive. So you're fully immersed and you control everything. Or do you want to have the best user experience in collaborating or talking with people next to you or in another room while you see the model, and then you go to the HoloLens? Because I have one architect in France which, after I show what we were able to do, he bought like 5 devices, and now he has a table in his room and he just projects the house on the table, and all the people deciding whether they want to make change or build, they all around the table and they talk. They just talk. Like if they were talking with a real materialized maquette of the building, which is what they do today. In September, I'm going to a car manufacturer, and today they build this either in polystyrene or argile maquette of the cars. And now they want to know the differences between what they built and what was there. And with the HoloLens, you can superpose the digital on the real one, and you can see all the differences, for example, and you can do some configuration. So that's something we're going to show in September in Paris.
I think the next step will be scanning, that you can actually use the HoloLens to look at a Coke bottle and then you get the mesh. Wouldn't it be amazing?
Yeah, it would be great, but the mesh quality is not yet there. But yeah, I mean, when we talk to our customers, the precision you need, if you're in construction, a millimeter would be fine. There's no problem. If you go to manufacturing, they're looking at the micron. So, but with HoloLens, the micron, you don't really care for visualizing. But if you do a mesh, you would need that. And I don't think HoloLens is powerful enough to do that yet.
You have your product open source. What kind of contributions would you like to see from people?
Well, anyone who wants to contribute to make the workflow smoother and more powerful are welcome to participate. Yeah, absolutely. We accept any contribution.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks, Christine.